All right. And welcome everyone to this fabulous show today called On the Block. And I'm looking off to the side because I got to get my camera straight so I can look right at Chris. Uh, we are super excited today to have you as our featured speaker on the Block. This is an exciting time for me. I met this gentleman, ladies and gentlemen, last year when we were doing our tour a little bit before we were doing our tour because he was working with actor Hill Harper to get some things together as it relates to the Black Wall Street. And this young man just absolutely blew me away. And when I say blew me away, I mean blew me away. Because I was like, this kid is young and he is hecka smart. He is hecka articulate. Not that young people cannot be, but this dude has something special about him. And I remember meeting him in person, and then he took me. I just had to just be taken aback again when he reached out his hands and said, "You know what? Let's pray." And I was like, "What?" That was really a good moment because I was in my space, moving, and things were just a whirlwind around the tour. And to pull up, and this gentleman is just like, take a deep breath. Let's do a prayer before we do anything else to ask God to bless whatever's going on to be. And I don't even think that that was the first time. I think probably the second time because I know for sure that you prayed for me via telephone while we were planning and doing some of these things. But, to know Christopher, I'm going to say that to know Christopher is to really know that he is sincere about his faith, about his family. And again, being so young, it's just a breath of fresh air to see. And I'm really, really happy for you and excited for you. And I'm glad today to honor you, not just to hear about your company, but to actually honor you for who you are in this space and what you bring and what you so humbly don't tell anybody about. Because when we meet you, we think it's all about everybody else's projects because you never talk about your own. So today we are talking about Christopher Perception and what he does and what he has created. And I have to be 100% honest with you, Christopher. I was moving so much during that tour and trying to balance the Black Wall Street wallet and the tour and dealing with my tour director at the time that I saw your logo. And I had no idea until last week that that logo belonged to Christopher Perception because I saw the logo on something that was supposed to be plastered on the side of the car, the magnets. And I was like, what is this? Like, where did this come? Like, nobody ever told me anything about this logo. And it had puzzled me, but I was moving so fast, never had an opportunity. And then I saw your email come through with this logo, and I thought, oh my goodness, that was Christopher's logo because they never told me. So I am happy to know whose logo that is. It is absolutely beautiful, and it absolutely makes sense now that we're looking at the cross and the text and the C for Christopher and perception, and it's just all in there. The P, it's just awesome. So I just want to tell you that that logo definitely fits you. So with that being said, everyone who does not already know, this young man's name is Christopher Perception, and I guess no pun intended, but the perception of this brother that God gave him this name for a reason. Like this is it's a trip to have the name and to really think about, and you'll see why in just a minute. So, who is Christopher Perception?
First and foremost, thank you for the opportunity. I generally do not laugh this much during combos and whatnot, but we family, so this
Yeah,
is hilarious though. But I definitely appreciate all of this. Um, who am I? I am a man who loves God, who loves my family, and who wants to scale business greatly. I believe that Black people have something special, um, but we were systematically and mentally, physically, like DNA in our trauma, or trauma in our DNA rather, in every which way we're fragmented and broken apart. And yet and still we continue to rise like that rose in the concrete. So I believe that business is just one of those outliers and outputs where we can bring certain things back. We can restructure black homes, we can bring back black Wall Streets, or Silicon Hoods, or all of these different pieces of community ultimately. I think business is the conduit for that. So that's who I am. I'm a man that loves God, loves family, loves business. I'm very bullish on cryptocurrency. It changed my life when I found out about it. And I'm not looking back. I've been in since 2016.
Hmm.
Um, and as you often say, I've had to pay my tuition a few times. I'm not sure if the audience knows what you mean when you say that. But pay your tuition means you make some mistakes. You might have lost some money. You might have sold something that you shouldn't have sold, crypto related, and it's up and you don't have it anymore. Like I've definitely paid my tuition. Um, and
Definitely.
so yeah, that's me.
So, what city did you grow up in? Because I know where you are, and I would like to know what city you grew up in and all of that.
Sure. So I grew up in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, born and raised in the 414, go Milwaukee Bucks and all of that. But yeah, I was growing up in a split home. So my mother and my dad, they split before I was born. And I grew up with my mom, my aunt, and my grandmother. So in reference to women in general, but especially like black women, that strength, I know about that. I've seen that firsthand. So all things considered, my mother, when she gave her life to Jesus, and we started going to church, and I'm getting pulled from public school to Lutheran schools, and going through the whole culture shock of being the majority and then the minority. It just taught me to think differently, um, and it taught me to really value who it is that I am, since I don't necessarily see a lot of me at this new school that I'm at. On the flip side, my dad, he was a drug dealer. So on any given Sunday, literally, my mom is moving and shaking with millionaires. I'm seeing cars that I only see in music videos at these churches, and holding expensive cameras, trying to help with mass media. And then I go see my dad in the afternoon. I'm chilling with murderers, drug dealers, prostitutes, fiends coming in and out of the trap house, AKs in the ceiling, like just juxtaposed between light and dark in a real way. And I had to grow up very fast because of that. Um, my mother, my grandmother, and my aunt, they did a lot to try and instill certain values and principles in me. And like the Bible says, train up a child in the way they should go. When they're older, they won't depart from it. But my environment was crazy. It was very volatile, gunshots every night, police sirens. I remember stories of like seeing neighbors one day and then the next day, like they're shot in the head in a hospital trying to like recover. They're a few feet away from where we stay. Um, Somehow there's a dead body found in a garbage can. Like I'm growing up in this environment, um,
Hmm.
and it's making me realize the frailty of humanity. Like we all have an expiration date. So what are we gonna do before that expiration date hits? So I'm getting hit left and right, different traumas, all of these different things, family structure and whatnot. Um, and I needed to bunker down and make a decision. Like, am I going to be a statistic? Am I going to die at the age of 16 from a stray bullet because I'm hanging with the wrong folks? Or am I going to make a move? Like, am I going to do something? I was always blessed with the love of knowledge. So I was a book reader. I love reading books. So that was like really my safe space. I read the dictionary at a young age just because I was bored, encyclopedias, all of that type of stuff, to just try and take my mind away from what I was hearing every night. Um, and I even taught myself how to code from HTML, taught myself how to trade stocks. But it got to a point where like the emotional stuff that I was holding in, it burst, like the levees burst. And I needed a form of not only like productive distraction, but like therapeutic outputs. And that's where poetry, spoken word, photography, film, that's where all of that really saved my life. Um, so technology was always there, but it was just really hard to focus on like all of these different things when you're hearing people getting lit up outside. So I'm like, I need something to keep me, to keep my soul straight so that I don't jump off the porch and do something. And that was art. So spoken word, all of that. And that happened in Milwaukee. I grew up and graduated high school, went to college, dropped out, went to another college, dropped out, went to another college, dropped out because it couldn't keep me as far as attention, as well as there was so much happening around me where it's like, okay, I need to figure out what it is that's my shtick, like what's my thing. And it was really the art, but I always wanted to get back to technology, always wanted to get back to economics. Fast forward a little bit, I exhibited some of my fine art photography in museums and galleries and done full on productions and stuff like that. Um, and then I moved to California, fell into some bad crowd stuff. The art world is heavily influenced with like drugs and all of that. So some of the things that I grew up seeing, I started doing. So I was selling drugs for a little bit to try to make some money out there. And that's when God was really like smacking me around, like, boy, you know better. And you like, and I'm like, you're right, you're right, you're right. So I stopped doing that, moved back to Milwaukee, and that's when things really started taking off for me. From there, I lived in from LA to Milwaukee, spent some time in Chicago, um, spent some time in South Africa, lived on a village. My wife and I, while she was pregnant with our daughter that you saw, before
Wow.
she was born, she was going to be born in Africa, but the prior administration was talking bad about African countries, so our visas couldn't get extended because we were Americans. Other than that, we didn't even plan on coming back to America. Like we were South Africa's paradise, and I plan on going back this year actually. But yeah, that's kind of the long story condensed.
Wow. Well, no, that's a wow, wow, wow. So, I can't even, I don't even know what to say because I was going to say, now we are talking on the block about blockchain, but you lived
Hmm.
on the block, right?
Hmm.
You definitely lived on the block in the hood, just,
Hmm.
and I think that our upbringing, I will say that our upbringing is the reason why I'm always constantly telling our community that you are and have been groomed for a time such as this. And
Hmm.
so, because we have been groomed for a time such as this, I just think that we're in the right place at the right time. And so, my hat goes off to you for succeeding. And I'm going to say thriving because I know right now, personally, that you are thriving in this space.
Hmm.
You went from surviving to thriving. And so just appreciate you for all that you do. So tell us a little bit about your current company.
Sure. So my company Percept Form, and I'll even give a breakdown on the name. And my name is Christopher Perception is my legal name, or is it an alias? All of that. So around the time when God was like smacking me around, like, boy, get it together, he said, I want to change the perception of men in your family. My dad was a drug dealer. My grandfather was a pimp. I remember going to church and I seen a woman that he used to actually pimp. So it's like it was very like close proximity in many respects. So I knew exactly what he was talking about when he said change the perception of men and family. He had me look up his word and break it down. Like, what does perceptions mean? It means to seize, to understand wholly, to like absorb yourself into something and understand it. So I'm really big into words. And I legally changed my name. I went through that process on the passports, bills, all of it. It's Christopher Perceptions. Um, so as I was learning about Bitcoin, I got turned on to it in 2016, read the white paper, fell in love with the concept of what it could be. And I knew two things. One, um, there's going to be a shift in everything. The world was already becoming more and more hyper digital since Y2K, um, 2008, the whole market crash. People were looking for something different because the current system, as Black people have always known, but the world began to see broadly that this system is fried, like it's failing, it's imploding. So we need something different. I thought that this could be that, and that was going to change the world. I knew that. And then two, I knew that there needed to be education for this mass adoption thing that everyone was clamoring about online as I started doing my research. Education has to happen, and there has to be frictionless on ramps and off ramps. So as I started thinking systematically, I'm like, okay, we need to form something different. But in order to create this structure, it has to be something that's visible, something that's tangible, that is able to bridge. So percept form is just a visible bridge structure, if you will, if I were to break down that word. So it has four verticals: finance, education, art, and real estate. There are a few different points of survival, to your point, that people need. We could talk about Maslow's hierarchy, as far as what humans need, but ultimately, we need a way to transact as far as economy. We need something that we can, learn more about. We're constantly trying to learn different things.
Mhm.
I have a 3 year old and I have a 4 month old, and my 4 month old is extremely ambitious. She's trying to sit up, she's trying to walk, she's trying to do a whole lot of everything. She's even trying to get in on my business meetings and like tap on a keyboard or whatever. So she's learning, so that education piece is huge. We need culture. We need something that is like our hieroglyphic. So the finance, education, art, and then real estate, we need structures where we can not only build, but we can exist. We need event spaces, we need homes, we need commercial spots. So all of that in tandem with a hidden layer that no one ever sees, which is the infrastructure. No one cares about the foundation of a building. They just care, is this building going to crash on me, or am I going to be cool to chill in it? So that's
Mhm.
the hidden fifth piece of all of this. And that creates percept form. So we have a few different focuses and initiatives, starting with a young lady that you actually met, Yael, from Solid Block. I met her in Malta. I was pitching for a competition. She was one of the judges, and she like found me after the competition and was like, "Hey, we should stay in touch." And she reached out like a year later, and we formed a partnership of sorts where my company is able to do tokenization for properties, and we got some really cool things in the works, including mining. I know you and I offline have briefly talked about mining, and you went down to the mining conference in Texas, right?
Yes, yes. The
How
Scott's Mine.
many? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, Scott's Mining Conference.
Yeah. How many black miners did you see?
A lot. I was
Mm-hmm.
shocked. I was
Mm-hmm.
shocked. I was
Mm-hmm.
absolutely shocked. I took a picture with every one of them.
I ain't mad at you.
Like
Mhm.
shocked. The culture, yeah, there were a lot.
Yeah. So what we're trying to do is, as people have, because it's capital intensive at first, but generally speaking, you do it right, you break even within 12 months, if 24, if you have to go a long stretch. But realistically, how many of our people are in the infrastructure of Bitcoin? We can go to a respective, reputable, over the counter place such as Crypto Blockchain Plug. We can leverage dollar cost averaging through a tool like the Black Wall Street. But do we have Black mining pools? Do we have Black mining farms that people can have equity in? This is where tokenizing a mining operation is in our roadmap of what we are going to do this year. We got three sites in mind: North Carolina, Wisconsin, in Wyoming or Wyoming area. Um, and a lot of things are accelerating in that regard. So not only are we going to mine Bitcoin, but we are also going to allow for accredited and non-accredited investors. That's Pookie and them all the way up to Jeff Bezos
Pookie
can
Nim.
have. Go ahead.
No, I said yes, Pookie Nim.
Believe that. So yeah, Pookie and them need to get in on Bitcoin. So it's like, yeah, you can, dollar cost average in, but if you got $100, if you got $1,000, and you can own a piece of a business that's a part of the infrastructure of that, that's where I want the frictionless on ramp, off ramp concept to really materialize. Because all of those mining operations, they may have private money, they may have leveraged grants, might have been credit cards maxed out, might be VC money in there, but I haven't seen one crowdfund. I haven't seen one leverage private equity as well as Main Street money or the block money from good people that have legal money and whatnot. So that
Right.
is our thing with the mining operations. And that'll be up and running very, very, very soon, this year for sure, in 3 states. So that's the real estate piece. We also want to do tokenization of cities. So we're actually looking at a few sites where we can create these crypto communities in a real way, like a physical Black Wall Street, where not only can the residents live on this tokenized land, but they can have passed through dividend, not just like we're taking from taxes or whatever, but almost like what City Coins is enabling government to do with Miami. They have what $30 million that wasn't available until City Coins built Miami Coin on the Stacks blockchain. What if we can do that with an entire city and let residents own a piece of that? So that's some of the conversations and things that Yael and I are planning out with real estate from the standpoint of art, just consulting with artists. I come from that world. I've been homeless before. I've been a starving artist before. It sucks, but um, it's a whole dance. Like if you're doing visual art, you go to art college, you get connected to a family that's going to patronize you or be a patron and buy your work for low because they support you. And then they're going to tell their friends. And then as you graduate, then you're brought into these networks and all of a sudden you're at Christie's and Smitherees. Long story short, it's a network effect thing. You might have a dope artistic gift, but if you're not in those circles, those gatekeepers aren't going to let you in. With NFTs, the entry point is very, very open. Collectors are global. There are no more gatekeepers at this point. Now you're just on Twitter saying, hey, check out my NFT, or on Instagram. So we're walking through processes with artists and organizations regarding how to set that up, and even speaking with museums on how to integrate blockchain technology from that standpoint. As it relates to education, we've taught over 1,500 students globally through some of our courses, and that's dealing in NFTs in general, cryptocurrency in general. And we have a platform that we are building out constantly. It's called Percept Grow. It's a freemium platform where people, whether you pay to be a member annually or not, you're going to be able to learn about cryptocurrency. You're going to be able to be a part of a community. If you are a member, you get certain incentives. You can win crypto, not just earn it, but you can win like cryptocurrency in a real way. So yeah, that's one of those pieces. And then the last piece, um, I can't speak on one aspect because there's a deal like pending. But once it comes through, I will let you know. But there's a really exciting piece that's about to emerge from the financial aspect. One thing that I can talk about is Percept Pay, a social payment marketplace that allows for people to accept Bitcoin as a form of payment without having to go through the learning curve of, well, do I have to set up a server and what the heck is a node and all those different components. So it's structured to look like a social media platform. Think of like Instagram meets Craigslist. That's ultimately what this platform is. People can pay in US dollars, and then that's transferred into Bitcoin, and then it's given to that merchant. So that's
Hmm.
that.
For step pay. Okay, okay. Well, we're really looking forward to all the things that you have coming down the pipe. And so let me just ask you, because I know you're so young. I know you're young and you've done a lot of things. What would you say to someone that is young in this space,
Mhm.
that is looking to be an entrepreneur and start in some shape, form, or fashion, but is a little bit discouraged because maybe they're thinking they're too late in the game? What would you say to them about their business idea or whatever it is they want to do?
Just build. Just keep building. I will save you all some pain. All right. Don't chase VC money. Don't do it. There are a lot of initiatives where you can leverage grants, where you can learn how to code in between lunch breaks. Because I get it. Like I can't imagine. I've been an entrepreneur since I was 18. I'm 32 right now. I've been to the ups, the downs, the crashes, the lump, all of it. Um, and I can tell you that we're living in some really strange times. I couldn't imagine being 18 years old, 16 years old. I couldn't imagine it. There are so many opportunities. Like if you got a decent setup. You know, if you got a car, you could use Turo and rent out your car while you're in high school. And then by the time high school's done and you're leaving for class, you can, you know, receive the car. You got so many different opportunities. You got Airbnb, but you also have new challenges. You got TikTok, you got kids saying they got ADHD, you got wars and rumors of wars, inflation and stagflation, all of these different nuances that are affecting your life as a young person. Plus your environment. I don't know if you're in the burbs or if you're in the hood, the trap, like all of those different things play a piece and a part. Um, find a safe space. If it's a library, if it's your basement, just find a safe space that you can kind of map out as yours where you can learn. For those who are really into technology, we need more people who are like Najah in the sense of not only am I going to be in this thing, but I'm going to be in this thing. If I got a passion for kids, I'm gonna make a kids curriculum. If I'm interested in doing Bitcoin loans, we're gonna do a Bitcoin bank. If I'm interested, like she owns everything that she has an interest in. Take note of that. There's a lot of talk about like how success leaves clues, but I say success leaves clues, but love leaves blueprints. What are those blueprints? The blueprint is her life. You know what I mean? You can look at some of the moves that she's making and just try and see how you can replicate that. So for those who are into technology, learn what are those coding languages? So Clarity is a coding language for Stacks. Stacks is a blockchain that is built on top of Bitcoin as a layer one, where you can do smart contracts. So you're talking
Mhm.
Bitcoin, uh, NFTs, Bitcoin, DeFi, all of that can happen on Stacks. Earns crazy Bitcoin yield. It's what Citycoins is built on. Love Stacks. Their smart contract language is Clarity. You also should learn JavaScript. You should learn Solidity if you're interested really into getting into like the archetype of what a smart contract is that came from Ethereum. So Solidity is Ethereum smart contract language. Get familiar with GitHub. Um, join some hackathons, like try some stuff out. You know what I mean? There are people making thousands of dollars from coding on a laptop, not even going to like events. They're just doing hackathons. So if you're really into tech and you like nerding out and are cool with coding, I would learn those languages and just start building stuff because there is a talent drought in the industry where people are getting literally hired and getting their bidding wars happening in DMs on Twitter. I've seen it. There are companies getting funded on Twitter based off of an idea and maybe a white paper and a functioning model, just a website that is able to accept traffic and all of that. It doesn't have to be a matter of you getting a suit and tie and trying to raise $1 bajillion. Like, where can you start now? And start now. That would be my advice. Just start now, because the later you put it off, or the more you put it off, the later in the game is going to get. Eventually, Bitcoin is going to crack 100,000, 250, half a ticket, and then eventually a million. Once it hits that, it's gonna, it's gonna be a little different globally, geopolitically, as well as our world by the time Bitcoin hits a million. So the sooner you're able to get in, the better. You're not too late. You're right on time.
Definitely. Well, I appreciate that. But I do want you to just briefly, and I know you kind of skimmed over it, but you said
Mm-hmm.
don't chase VC funds. And I think for a lot of folks, um, I'll say this, because you
Mm-hmm.
almost turned that interview into deflecting how fabulous you are as to talking about how fabulous I am. But I was gonna correct you, but you corrected it, so we didn't have to do that. But
Thank you.
you said don't run after VC funds, and a lot of folks have asked me over and over and over again, like, why haven't you gone after VC funds? And
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really think that I had a method to my madness other than the fact that I wanted to have my structure and my
Mm-hmm.
foundation right first before I gave them a house built on sand. And I think the
Mm-hmm.
last couple of years, I have, started with the basement and built my
Mm-hmm.
way up. So then now that I have a strong foundation, I don't know why my camera did that,
Like that was kind of player. I ain't even
which
correct.
is
That was kind
cool
of
because
player.
I don't know how it works. It just did it, but I guess I needed to be bigger, anyways. But
That's right.
so anyway, so why are you suggesting that folks not go get an idea and run after or chase after VC funds?
For one, you might not need VC funds. The best kind of money is revenue. If you can build your company off of revenue, VCs are going to chase you for real. I just got a notification about a $1.5 billion fund that's happened. There's so much money pouring into all of these different funds to try and gain a foothold in the transition of the world. Metaverse fund, earning play to earn fund, NFT fund, DAO fund. There's so many funds that are popping up, but that money comes with a cost. That money
Mm,
comes with a real cost. You're not only relinquishing part of your vision to a board, but from those who don't necessarily understand how it works, you create a company, generally not a sole prop. It could start out that way, but eventually you want to scale. You want to go from a sole proprietor to an LLC, and then from an LLC, if you're really interested into like venture capital, because some companies they just need venture capital money, you go from an LLC to a C corp, and then there are different nuances there. You structure a Delaware C corp and all of that. They like C corps because those are the ones that are like the big boys. So Facebook is a C corp. Anything that's received venture capital money, 9 times out of 10, C Corp, probably from Delaware. Just weird paperwork nuance. Um, so you build out a business, you have a vision, and then it's like, well, I don't come from money. I don't have a dad who can give me a loan of $1 million. I need to raise some money. We're kind of been conditioned for that. And I went on that circuit. I talked to people all over the world, from India to America, literally, and people love, the concepts and ideas at certain stages. Certain things I kept, certain things I didn't reveal. Um, but and certain things changed too. But it would always be like an invisible carrot. Like, well, if you reach this metric, or you're too early. That's like my favorite phrase. You're too early for us, meaning you don't have enough traction, or you don't have enough users, or you don't have enough market fit. So there are all of these like code phrases that basically say like you're not good enough at this point, and we may or may not circle back. There were instances where I had letters of commitment and people just kind of fell through. Um, but one thing that never did fall through was two things: the hustle that I had concerning the vision, and the fact that it was going to happen regardless. I had that never give up mentality. So if I had to leverage grant money, if I had to bootstrap, if I had to launch something that wasn't fully what I envisioned, but at least it's launched and I can build on top of it and constantly iterate. There's this new concept where people build in public. So for people who are trying to get into this space and don't necessarily know how they can do something without hiring a coder, or developer rather, hiring a designer, have you looked into no code? Because there are applications that are built that are used in the crypto space where, if you're familiar with a Photoshop or a Canva even, you can build applications that can scale just like that. Bubble,
yeah.
Webflow, um, Adalo. There are a few. Card, CARRD. These are no code platforms where you can either have landing pages or you can have real life apps that have received venture capital, especially with like Bubble.
Yeah.
So there's so many instances where you don't necessarily need VC money. You just got to get started. And Najah could tell you, I'll tell you, Hill could tell you, getting started in business is gonna be tough. Might hurt a little bit in the beginning, because it's just you and maybe your faithful few, or maybe it's just you. No one's gonna believe in the vision until it gets to a certain point. But once it gets there, leverage that momentum and know that people are watching that you would never expect. Some of the calls that I get, some of the emails that I get, it just blows my mind. And I'm doing this without VC money. Not to say that I'm opposed to it. When you think of VC money, think of a partner that could vote you out. if they don't like what you're doing. There are corporate takeovers that happen where you might have started a company and it's grown and it's doing amazing, and the board doesn't like what you're doing because you're not making money at the cost of other people potentially. And you're like, no, that goes against the vision. And because you gave up a portion of your company to get bread up front, they have equity forever, and they can vote you out if you gave them a board seat. So what might look good now, $100,000 check, $1 million check, whatever, that might come back to bite you later. So if you want
Yeah,
full control, you may want to go at the independent route or leverage other sources of funding. There are good people that want to fund dope ideas that won't be sharks. There are good people out there, but the only way that you'll find them is that you launch out. You got to do something, you know?
definitely, definitely. And you come with such wisdom. Can folks reach out to Percept Form and get consultations and those sorts of things for their businesses?
Absolutely. I'm plugged into an amazing network that this young lady, her and her husband, Najah, and her husband, and an amazing team. So absolutely. We have an amazing network of people, all things serious though, that we can lean into, that we can tap into. And obviously Percept Forum is an entity where we're leading with our four verticals. And at the heart of it is education. I want my people to be a part of this once in a generation opportunity. Could imagine what it was like to have been alive when gold was first found on the West Coast. You got people literally packing up homes, families, off of a whim, off of a hunch. It's people that are selling picks. It's people that's, owning land and they got the gold. So they're making a killing. You got people finding gold, changing their life. I feel like cryptocurrency, specifically Bitcoin, is that times 10 in a real way. So new businesses, new tools. I read these different kinds of statistics where people are saying, oh, well, the moment that Apple turns crypto, that's going to be a billion eyes on any sort of crypto app that's launched. So my mind goes, I could either develop, I could launch, or I could create a tool that makes it easier to launch on Apple. So there's so many different ways where you got to think like a system, because we're
Yeah,
we're not fighting racism in the sense of a person. We're fighting a system that was built from motives of people who are racist. Some people
yes,
trapped in that system, born in that system, who benefit from that system, they may genuinely not understand. It's not
right.
for them. It's for
Yes,
us to build a system to
yes,
supersede that system that will benefit not only us but everybody. And that's why I love Bitcoin in general. That's why this is my life's work. I'm building this until I check out. You know what I mean? So yeah, I'm absolutely happy and willing and able to consult with people, advise, whatever. Like I'm happy to do it. It's my life's work.
yes. And how do they find, is it just Percept Form dot tech on all social
Mhm.
medias? How do they get in contact with you?
Yeah, Perceptform Inc. Yeah, it actually just popped up. That's super cool.
That's
Perceptform
right.
Inc. on Twitter and Perceptform on Instagram. We got some really cool things coming through the pipeline, especially quarter 2. For those of you who are going to be in Miami, I will be in Miami for the Stack Summit, which is like a day before the Bitcoin Summit or the Bitcoin Conference, and I'll also be at the Bitcoin Conference as well. So yeah, I'm definitely accessible via social and also the website perceptform.tech.
That is awesome. And for you personally, the link is on the screen for them to follow you, and that's CMPGFB. So
God family business.
okay, God family business. I knew there was something to that. There's just no way you have anything that is not symbolic of just some stuff. So it's just awesome. And so you have been absolutely fabulous. I wanted to ask our fabulous ladies if there are any questions in the chat for Christopher. We know he is on the East Coast and it is late, and we definitely appreciate him staying up to do this interview with us today for On the Block. And I do not think we could have had a better On the Block today because this brother opened my eyes to some things. And are there any questions out there from any of our listeners? No questions. Well, Chris, I'm going to give you the last words. If there's anything else that you'd like to share,
Um,
you
I'm
know
looking
what?
forward to
Let me make
seeing.
this easier for you.
Okay.
What keeps you up at night? Because you are so calm and so prayed up. What keeps Christopher Perception up at night? I gotta know this because this dude is copacetic. Every time I see him, he is chillaxed. So what keeps you up at night?
I mean, I done been through some wars, Najah. So I mean, you either gonna be shell shocked or you gonna understand that like nothing is in your control. So you gotta just trust God and just be a person of decent character. You know what I mean? That's
Okay.
why I be chill. I've seen a lot of stuff. Um, I'll tell you this brief story and then I'll answer it. I remember we were moving to Africa doing a rummage sale. My wife made some cookies, giving them out to the kids. Just we chilling, playing gospel music, whatever. It's a car that pull up, some static down the block, folks barking, getting into it, and then they drive off. The vibe just of the whole block changed. He's like, okay. 15 minutes later, three cars pull up, 15 people hop out on foot. And I'm like, here we go. This girl had a strap. She pulled it out of her purse, gave it to somebody, broad daylight, and they just get the sparking. Another person grabs a gun from their waistline, get the sparking. I may be a few feet away from this person, and I just saw rage and hatred in this young person's eyes. Um, and it bothered me because he's shooting at somebody that looked like him. You know what I mean? With like pure just rage, anger. Um, and the miracle of it all was gospel music was playing the whole time during the shootout, which is the craziest thing. You're hearing gunfire and like gospel music at the same time. Um, the detectives come, everybody scatter, they take off the block, no one died or whatever, but they got to do their investigation. Go door by door, ain't nobody saying nothing. They come to our door, um, and I'm like, yeah, I mean, I don't have anything to say. I saw this and this and this and this. I mean, this is a car and I ain't get no license plates, whatever. But I just got a question: did anybody get hurt? He was like, the strangest thing happened. There was not a piece of property that had a bullet hole in it, and no one was shot. So it's like, what keeps me up is the fact that I know I got a purpose that I have to fulfill before I check out of here. And I spend my waking hours doing that or politicking with powerful people such as yourself, where we're aligned in that mission. You know what I mean? It's bigger than us. It's beyond our lifetime. So I want to make sure that I'm setting up systems so that when it's my time to go, people who are after me, they got a head start. You know what I mean? Because
Mhm.
we're 400 years behind. So in one lifetime, we got to catch up, if not supersede 400 years of
Man,
nonsense.
man,
So
you giving me goosebumps. I'm feeling
so
it.
I'm
I'm feeling you. I'm feeling you. I'm feeling
so
it.
that keeps me up. The
That
work
keeps you up.
and that the work keeps me up. And just the love for my people, love for people who just need a fair system. That keeps me up, and knowing that we got the answer for that, and we just got to build it. We just got to get it out. Um, and the world gonna change in our favor for it. You know what I mean? It's not always gonna be crazy
Yes.
regulations or politicians barking on Capitol Hill like, oh, crypto and energy, and it's like it's propaganda. You're getting paid from banks. It's obvious. Like you ain't gotta go so hard at this industry. It's we get it. It's okay. Disruptive
Yeah.
technology disrupts systems. Going back to
Yes.
that. So
Yes. Yes.
um it's on us, man. And that's what keeps me up at night.
All right. Well, good deal. Well, Tony Thompson, I'm feeling you on that one. This is an astute young man. And Tony said,
Respect.
Tony cannot wait to meet you. So he will be at our Charlotte location. He will be at
Yes.
our Milwaukee location for the tour. So if you have
Yes.
not registered for the digital financial revolution tour, you need to do that. You can go to
Yes.
thedfrtour.com and you will see Christopher Perception. He thinks he's just going to be humble in the background like he did last year. He just
Here
got off
you
the
go.
mic. We're gonna we're gonna have him say a word or two, and he's helping us in the Milwaukee market as well. I'm really excited about going up to Milwaukee. I've never been there before, and the Most High had popped me a couple of times saying, "Get to Milwaukee," and it seems like everybody
Hey.
I met at late is from Milwaukee. So just FYI, the guy from Scott's Mining Conference is from Milwaukee. All his staff was from Milwaukee. And when I went to that thing, I said, if I meet another Milwaukee person, okay, I'm putting it on the tour. Because
Hmm.
there was another young lady that had been saying, come to Milwaukee, come to, and I was like, eh. And then it just kept coming up. And those are my signs that this
That's
is
right.
what you need to be doing. And so the last straw, real quick, was the Scott's Mining Conference. His business partner's girlfriend works for DCFS, and she deals with teenage girls that are pregnant in Milwaukee that look like us. And she walked up to me in the conference and asked me if I would speak to these young women, and I said,
Mm.
absolutely. Absolutely, absolutely. So that was it. Milwaukee's on the map. We are going to Milwaukee. Looks like I'm gonna be doing a lot in Milwaukee. So with that said, I am super happy to know that and I just learned that that's where you're from. Cannot wait again to see you. And I'm gonna try to make it to the Stacks event. I didn't know it was until right now. And so don't have a ticket, obviously, but I'll be there early enough to go. So I'm gonna try to see what that looks like. So I may
Okay.
possibly see you there before the convention because I'm interested to see what Stacks is all about. And whenever you have some other time, maybe you can come and break some of that down because I did hear you say I love Stacks. I heard that. So I'm interested. So, with that being said, I would like to bid you again a thank you, thank you, thank you. And to all of you that are listening and that have learned a little bit about this man of God, this husband, this father, this tech founder, this creator, and this thriver. He is thriving. And so, again, Christopher Perception, we appreciate you. And I am so looking forward to working with you. And you have sparked a new fire in me. And
Mm.
again, as you said, this is your life's work. This is definitely your life's work because you show up. You show up for real. And so I appreciate you. And just thank you so much for all that you do. So, with that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for attending On the Block with Christopher Perception and Perceptform.tech. So please check him out. Peace and blessings.
Peace.
So we're doing this second annual Digital Financial Revolution Tour. We're going to start on May the 29th. We're going to end on July the 13th. We're hitting 41 cities this year. It is critically important that we get this information out to our community. So we're going to start off here in Los Angeles, head up north to Oakland, all the way back down through to Las Vegas, and we are going to end up in Milwaukee, down to Tulsa, Oklahoma, and back. So 41 cities, all inner city. And what we're going to do is just really give the message that money is changing, that people need to get educated. We're going to offer them means by which they can get this information and education for free. Make sure that people are not paying for things that they shouldn't be paying for. Making sure that people are not on exchanges that they shouldn't be on. Making sure that people are not joining companies that they don't need to be joining in order to take part in this digital revolution. Our goal is what we call to orange peel. Orange peel is to help people understand Bitcoin, not in this totality, because we're not going to do that in one day of being in their city, but at least we can open their eyes and ears and minds to what is actually on the table for us. And there's a saying that we've heard all of our lives. If they don't give you a seat at the table, bring a folding chair. Well, I'm here to say if they don't give you a seat at the table, build a table. And we are building a table for our community to be able to do what we need to do to be financially free close this wealth gap and get ourselves out of the situation that we've been in for the last 150 some odd years, and that's out of poverty.